couple scenarios about when you should at least consider an unpaid internship. And I'm going to tell you some other times when you should get paid for the internship. Trying to debunk some of the things you read on social media. There's a tremendous amount of negativity out there towards unpaid internships. And I think it's often coming from people that don't understand the value of them. There's also companies out there that do take advantage of people, and I'm going to talk about that as well. And that's why you got to look at the job and say, okay, I need to get paid for this. I'm going to use an example from myself personally, someone I know that's extremely successful in the music industry. I'm even going to run a little bit of numbers here to try to help you visualize it. So instead of just trying to get your advice from people on social media, I'm going to try to map out some other insights. My first thought is why you should take a paid internship. Look, anytime you can get paid, I'm not going to argue with that. You need money, put food in your mouth, pay your rent. Who knows? You got bills, school loans. If you can get paid, there's nothing to argue about there. But there's times when you should definitely not take an unpaid internship. And I say, when a company looks like they are just trying to take advantage of you, if they want you to just do grunt work, get coffee, do ridiculous things, just kind of be a body in a warm chair to do a bunch of low-level work that's of no gain for you, you want to get paid for those jobs. And I think go back 20 years ago, there's a lot of those companies out there that just like the thought of bringing in some, summer help to just do the work that they don't want to pay other people to do. If there's nothing in it for you, then there's got to be something in it for you, which is a paycheck. So if it looks like one of those jobs where you're just not going to learn anything, it's just busy work, yeah, that's the kind of internship I want to get paid for. Let me talk about why you'd want to consider an unpaid internship. And hell, maybe unpaid internships are illegal now. I don't even know. I'm not a lawyer. But there's times when there's things that you can learn of great value that someone's not willing to pay you for. I'll use one example personally, and then I'll talk about my friend in the music industry. But when I got my first big tech job, I ran into this gentleman that he looked like a scientist, and they worked for one of the largest automotive manufacturers in the world. This guy got in super early. He had like the lab coat on. He took his job really serious. But he's like, hey, if you want to come in sometime before hours, like he got into work at like 5 a.m. and stuff, I'll show you around. You can help me out and do some things. Now, I didn't get paid for that. A lot of times I'd wake up 4 or 5 in the morning and drive in just so I could go hang out with this dude. And I was, 19, 20 years old, getting access on technology that the average 40-year-old didn't get their hands on. So over time, I got to learn all this stuff that 20-year-olds didn't get to learn that stuff. Well, that went on my resume. And then when I left there for my next consulting gig, my resume is looking like someone that's 40 years old. I was so far ahead. But I had to make the investment of time. I didn't get paid for that, 1-2 hours a day. It was just my investment of my time to go learn. And I found extreme value in that led me down a path of making so much money, I can't even explain it. But I had to give something up, and that was my time. If I would have said, hey, I need to go back to my boss and see if I can get paid for these 2 hours, I would have missed out on an opportunity of a lifetime. So that's one story. The next story is I have a good friend that is Grammy nominated. He's got the platinum records on the walls. And you'll hear him, and I'll feature him on the show one day. You'll hear him tell a story where he first got into the studio. And he's like, man, I work for free. I'll scrub this place with a toothbrush if I have to. I just want to be here. And what he knew was there's things that he was going to learn in that studio that he wasn't going to learn in school or learn in his home studio for that matter. And it's one of those things where there's things you need to learn in real life that you can't learn in college, but a company just can't afford to pay you to do. When you show up and you really add no value, no one can pay you and stay profitable to just be there. So it's one of those things where you get in this weird gap of you need to be in the environment to learn, but you're of no value, so no one can pay you to be there. Well, he made the sacrifice. He showed up, He worked at other random jobs to make sure he could get his bills paid, and then he went to the studio and then he hung out and worked for free. Well, now he's got the platinum records and the Grammy nom. So he realized that what he was getting from the studio was the payment. And it's like, if I had an opportunity going back, if I was 19 years old and Google said, come hang out with us, 20 hours a week, learn some coding stuff, help us out, but you're not going to get paid. But I say, no, I deserve to get paid, you dumb, greedy corporation. I'm not going to go hang out at Google and learn how to code. Dude, you bet that I would be down there in a minute. I would live at Google if I was 19, 20 years old, and I would work there for free to get that education, to have Google on my resume. And that's why I want to present another concept to you. Many people have no issue going to college and spending money to learn, but the thought of is if they went to a company and they were able to learn there, they get mad when they don't get paid, right? And I understand you're doing work for the company, but I'm trying to flip that script a little bit to open your eyes. Think about it. You'll go spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a class in college for someone to teach you something. But you won't go do an unpaid internship where someone might be teaching you something that is even more valuable than that. Let's just say that, big company calls me up, I'm 19, 20 years old. They want me to come hang out for 20 hours a week and do some work, but I'm going to learn some really cool tech stuff. 20 hours a week. Internships don't pay much. We're going to say, they're 12, 15 bucks an hour. I'll do 15 bucks an hour. 300 bucks a week. That's what I'd be losing out on, times 4 weeks in a month, 1,200 bucks, times 3 months in the summer, 3,600 bucks. So if I went and hung out at a company 20 hours a week, learned some skills, and helped them out by doing some kind of work, and I did that for 3 months, 20 hours a week, it'd be 3,600 bucks, or probably roughly what you pay for a college class at a top 50, top 100 university. Now think about that for a minute. This is where I try to say, you have to step back and see, what am I getting? If you're getting nothing from it, and it's only benefiting the company, then you want to get paid. But if you're going to get a tremendous amount of knowledge or skill, imagine if, I'm just using 3 companies, and I'm not saying they do this, I'm just using them for example. Your first year out of, your freshman year, you come home for the summer, Google says, come work for us 20 hours a week. But it's unpaid, but you get to learn some cool stuff. And then your second year you come home, it's Apple. And the third year you come home, it's Tesla. Imagine if you put on your resume that you worked at Google, Apple, and Tesla for the last 3 summers, and you made no money. But you were able to put those 3 companies' name on your resume and list off all the things that you learned there. That's 3 years. So this is $3,600 a summer times 3 years. Would it be worth the $10,000 that you wouldn't have gotten paid to put Tesla, Google, and Apple on your resume on top of the things you've learned? This is a lost art that we just don't have it anymore. We can't step back and be objective and say, what am I gaining from this? What is this knowledge worth? How is this going to get me to the next step? We kind of come out of college saying, a big greedy corporation trying to screw me over and trying to get free labor. Man, the smartest people I know in the world always step back and they say, what's in it for me? Well, next time you consider a paid or unpaid internship, step back and say, what's in it for me? I look back and if I wouldn't have spent those 2 hours learning, for free, technically, minus my invested time, I would never have gotten that next gig at that rate. And I was charging a hell of a lot of money. I was charging $150 an hour in my 20s if you wanted me to come out on site for tech work. And I look at my, good friend that's got the platinum records on the wall, the amount of knowledge and game he soaked up by being there. You had to make some sacrifices, but what he gained and what I gained was far greater than any hourly wage you would have paid us. So I guess that's one of those things you got to step back and say, hey, look, is this company trying to get over on me? Do they just want me to come in and get coffee and do a bunch of grunt work and I learn nothing? Or can I go work somewhere and build up a resume so when I come out of college, I have 3 internships, whether they're paid or unpaid. You need to look at this from all internships. What are you learning? What can I put on a resume? What company name am I putting on my resume? People say brand names don't matter. Obviously, have not worked in the recruitment space. They've never been on an executive hiring board. They've never sat in a boardroom listening to executives talk. You can't tell me that someone's resume, when they come out of school and they got Google, Apple, Tesla, and they went to Harvard and MIT, that person doesn't get looked at more than the person that had no internships and they went to a community college. These things matter. I'm trying to tell you how the game is won. So let's go play the game to win. If you can put good brand name companies on your resume for internships, or at least show some skills you learned, this is so valuable. So where you go to college, where you do your internships, what type of internships, this all sets you up for the first job. The further you start ahead on the first job, it's that much further ahead on the second and the third and the fourth. This is how you end up crushing it by 30, 35 years old. Like, when you work with Employment Boost, even at insights I give to my own friends and family, I'm trying to help people get somewhere at 30 that other people don't reach until they're 40 or 50. And it's just by playing the game, not by listening to random advice on social media by people that have never done it. Anyways, that's my advice. Sit back and ask yourself, what's in it for me? And that's how you make the determination between doing a paid or unpaid internship. Hey, sometimes it's not even an internship. Do what I did. If you know someone you can just go learn from, just keep in mind what you're learning is the payment. You don't need to always get an hourly wage. Anyways, if you have a question or comment about other career-related stuff, college planning, coaching, resumes, drop a comment, and we'll try to get that question featured on the show. Until then, I'm going to catch you on the next one.